Hello YouTube! Today on The Naughty Librarian, I am going over my quarterly favorites. So quarter 4 of 2021 is just about over, and I've been titling this quarter the quarter of mediocrity. Mind you, there were some books that I really did enjoy, and there were some books that I did not enjoy, but overall, most of the books I was just kind of like, they're fine. That book is fine. You know what I mean? Nothing was really like, wow, this is like exceptionally good, or wow, this is like really exceptionally bad. It was just kind of a meh overall quarter. That all being said, I still have my Christmas decorations up. You know, I'm gonna get a little bit more use out of them before I gotta put everything away. And yeah, let's talk about my favorites and least favorites from quarter 4. I'm gonna start things off with the romances. I have 3 favorite romances from quarter 4, and I will go through them all. Starting things off right here, I have the Raquel of Roth. And here's the thing. This book has a lot of tropes that are things I don't normally go for. However, our heroine in this book, Isabel, is such a freaking badass that this book is on my top list. I am obsessed with her. She is the best heroine. Basically, she marries this guy, the Marquess, right? And he just like leaves her in the country, goes back to London. And she's like, okay, it's been years. This guy's stupid, and I'm gonna go over to London and tell him what's up. Mind you, in the meantime, what she's been doing for these few years, she's made a bunch of friends. She's learned to be an expert markswoman. She's an expert writer. And also, she has started like Regency era Cosmopolitan magazine. I am obsessed with her. So I really have to say the main character is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in this book, but it's really, really good, delightfully smutty. However, my only main problem with the book is Winter, aka the Marquess, because he falls into the trope of no dick is that good. He is just the worst all the time. Isabel can do better. I don't know why she's so like desperate to save this marriage. He's kind of a piece of shit. And like all of his problems could have been solved in life if he just had like literally one conversation and like thought about things for a minute. And it just wouldn't have had to be a problem. So as much as I don't like that trope, I love Isabel to the point where this is still on my top of the quarter list. I really enjoyed it. Another favorite romance is Bombshell by Sarah MacLean, and oh boy, was I like pleasantly surprised by this book. Oh my goodness. Sarah MacLean is one of those authors that's very hit or miss for me. I either really, really like her books or I really, really dislike her books, and luckily, this is on the like category. And again, this is also like a main group of characters doing the heavy lifting situation. We have Lady Cecily, right? And she's very scandalous and stuff. Then you have Caleb, right? And he's best friends with her sister. And so that's how they know each other. There's always been like an attraction there, but Lady Cecily is just so scandalous. So like nothing's ever really happened between them. And they have like a past and stuff. But anyway, he's back in town and they're like kind of doing stuff. But the thing with Lady Cecily, she and a few other women have formed this group called the Hells Bells. And they are basically a women's group who are determined to take down terrible men. She's like, you suck, you're getting away with sucking, we're not gonna have that. And they like do away with them. Well, they're not like a murder group, but like they like just ruined them socially. And then from there, prison breaks, explosions, and you know, trying to hide a body ensues. So like there's just a lot of capers going on here. They're having to solve a mystery, and like all of the women are so cool. I can't wait for the next book of the series. I've already pre-ordered it, so this is definitely like a surprise hit. I'm very excited about it. I loved it so much. And keeping on that whole like fabulous heroine theme here, I also have Hit Me With Your Best Scott by Suzanne Enoch. Holy moly, I love this. 5 stars. So you have Persephone Jones, right? She's a very wild woman. She's an actress. And she's also, you know, like the talk of the town. Like everybody's obsessed with this actress, right? And she also has a dark past with secrets in it. And someone's trying to kill her. Enter Cole MacTaggart. He is like an earl from Scotland, and he shows up and he really likes her regardless of all the actor stuff. Like he's like, I don't care who you're pretending to be on stage. Like I like who you are like when you're off stage. So it's like a really cute romance between them. But also Persephone is just so great. She is so smart and sassy and like takes control of her life. She's like, hey, listen, you know, if I think a guy's hot, like I'm gonna get together with them. I'm not like saving my vagina for a special occasion, you know? So she's just living her life doing her own thing, as well as someone's trying to kill her. And Cole, of course, is like, well, I'm gonna protect you. Like, I'll send like guards to watch over you and stuff, and they're gonna like go around with you to places so no one tries to kill you. And we've all seen this trope like a lot in books, and usually the heroine's response to this is like, oh, I don't want them to follow me around, like they're impeding on my freedom, and like I don't need guards, I'm gonna do what I want, you know, that headstrong bullshit, which is nonsense. And she does not have this reaction. She's like, yeah, someone's trying to kill me, like send all the dudes you can, like I'm totally fine with guards, send them over, this is the best idea you've ever had. So already love her. She's like, yeah, someone's trying to kill me, I'm not gonna complain about extra guards. Like, already great heroine, love her to bits. And like, I love their romance in between them. He like just likes her as a human. It's none of this like propriety thing, but like, oh, you're not a virgin, oh, you're dirty. He's just like, hey, you're cool. So basically here, I've read this book now, and like, I'm low-key obsessed with Suda and Enoch. Like, I've looked up a bunch of other books of the series. Like, this is book 3 of a trilogy. I've already got book 1 and 2. I'm gonna read those as well. Then I'm gonna look up more series about this author, because like this book was that good. Then now it's a new author obsession. So definitely had to make my best of list. Next group of favorites all kind of fall into like the fantasy category, and I got 3 of those as well. I had to put The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin on this list because, oh my gosh, did I freaking love this. Like, frankly, like I'll tell you guys right now, it's gonna be on my best books of the year list. It's so good. And like, obviously, who's surprised? It's N.K. Jemisin. I think this woman is a literary genius, and gets any hype that she gets is fully deserved. So this book has like a weird kind of sci-fi, maybe fantasy speculative kind of setting. Essentially, in this world, when cities grow to the point where they have so many individual people in it with like their hopes and dreams and like wishes and etc., it actually forms like another life form, and the city becomes born, and the city becomes a living entity, and they have like avatars. And New York, they have a different avatar for all the boroughs. And the thing is, like, okay, great, they have avatars and they do stuff, fine. There has to be a conflict here. The conflict is, there's like interdimensional Lovecraftian demon monsters who want to prevent this from happening. So, like I said, giant tentacled, like, Lovecraftian demon monsters trying to kill cities. And the city fighting back through its avatars. And it's very much so heavily based in New York that, like, I haven't even been there, but now I feel like I've been there, because it gets into such the little nitty-gritty details of each of the boroughs. And I loved all the different characters, and, like, some of them are very dark characters, some of them are very, like, witty characters, and they're, like, you know, like, it kind of runs the gamut of different people involved in this, and I loved it. I thought it was so good, and I thought it was gonna be a standalone, and, like, technically, yes, it does read as a standalone, but it is a series, and I don't know when the next book is going to come out, and if it's still going to be in New York, or if it's going to go to a different city. I'm not sure yet, but, like, whatever the book is, I'm going to get it and read it. I also put The Diviners by Liv Bray on this list because, like, it just kind of really, really surprised me, honestly. Like, I knew it was good. This is a really beloved series and book for, like, a lot of people. And I finally read it. I finally did it. It's a chonker. Like, look at this chonk. This is a chonk of a book. And nobody told me that this was legit terrifying. Like, this is a horror book. Like, I thought it was gonna be like a paranormal YA kind of romp, and it is not. It is horrific. Like, honestly, like, I get why it's in the YA category, and, like, I feel like teenage readers could enjoy this as well, but, like, the level of terror involved in this and, like, gruesome stuff happening, like, if someone told me, oh, this is an adult book, I would have bought it. Like, you know, like, it doesn't necessarily read completely YA, but it's like, wow, this is a lot. This is kind of roaring 20s moving into Depression era New York. And, you know, the roaring 20s, they have, like, jazz and liquor and parties and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of see around the corner things aren't all that great. You know, this is just, like, the socio-political climate of the city. And that's, like, a whole other topic we can get into, because it also does derive horror from just how the world was at this time, because there was a lot of really horrific, terrible things happening in the 1920s and 1930s. Like, for example, eugenics was a thing. that people thought was a good idea. So they take not only horror from, paranormal settings, they also just take it from actually shit that was going on in the world. So it's double horrific, double the violence all the time. But also, we're dealing with these group of people, and they're the diviners. They're these people, and they have powers, and they kind of get brought together to save the world from, other paranormal bad guys. And in this one, oh boy, do you have a very bad guy, and he's like an evil ghost murder guy, and he does bad things, and people get eviscerated, and you're like, oh my gosh. Way more scary than I thought it was gonna be, but you know what? I went and bought the rest of the series, so I definitely want to continue on with it. It's just I have to prepare myself, because it's a lot of book and a lot of violence and horrific stuff. So take a minute, take a breath, and then go into the book. Last favorite book of quarter 4 is Little Thieves by Margaret Owen. And I didn't know really what to expect from this. I thought it'd be fine, and then I started reading it and I was like, oh no, this is gonna be great. I am having a ball. We have this girl named Vanya, right? And she's a thief. She's kind of a bit morally gray kind of a character, badass kind of female Kaz Brekker vibes we're getting here. However, she is also the goddaughter to both Fortune and Death, so these goddesses are her godmothers, and so she has her own problems going on with that. And then one day she steals from the wrong person and gets cursed, so essentially she's going to keep turning into, gemstones. She's going to turn into rubies and pearls and stuff if she doesn't, find a way to break this curse, in 2 weeks. No big deal, guys. And along the way, she has to learn, life lessons about, hey, maybe don't be a dick to people, that kind of stuff. But what's really selling this book for me is, the awesome heroine. I am obsessed with Vanya. I think she's really funny. And she is also very determined. She has a vulnerable side as well. And I loved it. It has interesting magic elements and fantasy elements, as well as just, thievery, heists, jewel heists, and, kind of morally gray characters, interesting relationships between them. So overall, I really had a ball with this, and it can read as a standalone, but I do believe a sequel is coming out, and I'm already so excited for it because the sequel seems bonkers. So as soon as that goes available for pre-order, I'm gonna pre-order it. I'm really into this series. Now let's get into my least favorites. Only one of them was I really hated. The other ones were just not very good, but whatever. They're my least faves. So I really, really, really wanted to A Quick Bite by Lynsay Sands, but I did not. So I love the Highlander romances from Lynsay Sands. I love those. They're great. They're mini Snickers. And then this one is the first book of her Argento Vampire series, arguably one of her most famous series because it has 20-something books in it by now. It's a popular series. So I decided, okay, let's go back to the beginning. Let's start it off. Maybe I'll find my new obsession. And honestly, I'm not that obsessed. I mean, the story in this, it's fine. It's whatever. It's not terrible. It's not the worst thing I've ever read, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So you have this girl, her name's Lysiana. She's a vampire. She has a blood phobia. If she sees blood, she faints. Obviously, ha ha ha. Great, paranormal rom-com setup, right? One day, her mom kidnaps this guy, Gregory, right? And he's a psychologist who deals with phobia. So she's like, hey, go fix my daughter. There she is, la la la. And it's a bucket of instant love between Lysiana and Gregory. And they're going to be life mates. And I'm like, you've known each other for 2.5 weeks. And this is a big commitment to make. And, there were a couple moments in the book where it did have a fun, capery kind of element to it. A couple jokes that maybe I haven't seen in another paranormal rom-com that were fun, but overall, it's not a great, relationship between these two. I didn't get a lot of sparks. I just got wow, you've known each other for 2 weeks and now you're together forever. That's a big commitment, and I don't think it was well done. And also, here's the thing with this book. The vampires do not make sense, and I will explain. So, the way vampires eat, right? They bite with their fangs, they bite, and then they drink the blood through the holes they made with their teeth. That's how drinking works. You drink through your mouth and you swallow. Nope, not in this book. Their fangs work as straws. They drink through their teeth. Like the teeth go in and they drink through them. Like straws. Like people are just Capri Suns at this point. And I'm like, I can't fuck with it. I hate it. Like why would that be? Like I don't get the drinking through the teeth thing. It makes no sense and I don't like it and you can't make me. So yeah, I am not really sold on the series yet, but I think I still might try a couple more books in it for the sake of it, but like, I don't like the teeth thing. Overall, I guess you could say I was just disappointed with Not Your Average Hot Guy by Gwenda Bond. It had like a great premise. I saw this randomly, like I think on Instagram, and I pre-ordered it probably like 2 weeks before it came out. And I was like, whatever, this seems cool. I love the premise. And I bought it and I read it and it's fine. It's not great. It's fine. It's, it's just overall a meh book. We're basically following this girl, Callie, right? And her family owns like an escape room business. And Callie's always been like into like kind of, Buffy-esque paranormal doodads, etc. So she kind of makes an escape room that's like a cult, like, ooh, a demon cult. And like you have to escape the demon cult room. So I'm like, okay, cool. And she finds this old grimoire at like an estate sale. She's like, oh my gosh, this is great. This will be a great prop. She puts it in there. One day, this group of behooded weirdos shows up and they go into the escape room and they start taking the grimoire with them. Turns out, grimoire, real one, can summon demons from it, and this is a big old demon worshipping group and they're gonna summon people, and she's like, oh shit, this is not a good thing that's happening. And so the cult gets away with the book and they summon a demon. They summon the wrong demon actually, and Luke shows up. Who is Luke? Oh, he's Luke Morningstar, the devil's son. So he shows up and he's just like, yeah, these guys are so weird. They're trying to end the world. And like, I don't mind the world. Like, I think the world should still exist. So like, let's stop them. Let's team up and stop these guys. And that's kind of where the book goes from there. So already I'm like, I love the premise of that, but like execution, it wasn't as funny as I was hoping because the premise is great, but like I don't think the book lived up to its own hype, essentially. And also, like, I thought it was going to be smuttier than it ended up being. Like, there's like one kind of almost smutty scene. It's not very smutty, and I was like, if you're gonna not bring the laughs, you might as well bring the smut. And like, I don't really think it brought either in any noticeable regard. So it's like fine, it's whatever, but like, do I love this? Absolutely not. Also, my least favorites list is The Trouble with Christmas by Amy Andrews. And again, I don't hate this book. It's just kind of overall meh. Like, basically the premise is stupid and it's very meh. The characters are meh, and like it would bother me while I was reading it that it was so milquetoast. This is Suzanne. By the way, it spells Suzanne, but she calls herself Suzanne. So Suzanne and Josh. Suzanne, she is a New York artist, optimistic. She goes to Colorado and rents this cabin for like to have like a white Christmas, like the stereotypical Christmas. That's what she wants. She wants time to paint. She wants that. The cabin is on the ranch owned by Josh, and Josh is a very grumpy rancher. He doesn't like Christmas. He hates Christmas. And then through like zany antics, they get into a fake dating situation where they have to pretend that they're dating each other. And then probably a metric ton of tinsel explodes all over the house. Like, there's just Christmas coming out everywhere. And I appreciate the cheese factor here because it's not trying to not be cheesy. And I appreciate that. There's something to be said about like staying in your lane and like committing to it. So for that, I give it props. But overall, the characters aren't very original and the story isn't all that original. And like, frankly, it's stupid how they get into these situations that they're in. And it's just like, I just wasn't feeling it. But if you want like a cheesy Christmas romance, like this is fine. It will suffice completely. So hear me out. I hated Little Women. I know, right? Who hates Little Women? The answer is me, this girl right here. I hated Little Women. And now I've only read like 35% of the book. Like, I didn't read very much of this, and I was gonna do it for Drunk Classics, but frankly, after reading 35% of this book, I had to just keep chugging wine. Like every time, like I hated it so much, I would just be like, okay, I'm just gonna keep drinking. It'll get fun eventually. And then I realized, oh my gosh, if I have to do this for the rest of the book, I'm gonna be a full-blown alcoholic. Like I can't do this to my liver or myself. It basically, we all kind of know what this is about. It's been in the cultural zeitgeist for many a year, but it's basically these four sisters, and they're like growing up, and things happen to them. There's not really like a plot here. It's just like things happening. You're just watching these girls grow up, which I guess is a thing. I mean, it's a story, but it's not a plot. It's like, what are they trying to do? There has to be some goal here, and it's not. There's just like every chapter is just like a little short story. The mom shows up with a moral at the end, and it's just like little bits about them growing up. It's not really like a plot, it's just a story. And yeah, so my opinion on that plus wine was not good. And I don't know. You guys want to see like the footage I did record? And part of me is just like, oh, should I just like push through and finish this whole book just to have a complete rant? And then I'm like, why would I do that to myself? Like, I don't know. I'm still on the fence because like on the one hand, it might be worth it to have the video, but on the other hand, I don't want to do it. So there you go. I don't like Little Women. I really tried, and I hate it. All right, so those are my favorites and least favorites of quarter four. I am still going to put out a 2021 in all list video as well for my favorites and least favorites, but I've been liking doing it quarterly because I feel like I get to talk about more books. So stay tuned for those. I am going to put out my best books and like least best books of the year. I don't want to say worst books, because just because I don't like them doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. Someone else might like them, and that's fine. Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know, what have you been reading recently? Is it good or is it mediocre? Because like I've had overall a fairly mediocre quarter four, where just everything I read was just fine. It's fine. Nothing to write home about, but it's fine. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!